Coach, thank you for your time this morning. Just out of curiosity, with all the oddities of this season and matchups and getting games to happen, how bizarre is it to be playing Cal at this time, at this point of the season?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. It's different. It's 2020, I guess. But yeah, I mean, we were moving this way anyway. Pac-12 was, and our coaches to a 20-game schedule, and we were going to play 2 games in December. That was going to be a part of our plan anyway. So certainly, it's it's a change of pace from some of the other non-conference games that we played up to this point. But it's really got you hope to get off to a great start, and that these are going to be it's the beginning of the conference schedule, and so we've got to take that really with a serious mindset.
Hey, Coach. Just speaking on Bagley, what stood out to you the most in the first 3 games for him?
Just Marcus, his presence. I think his composure. How he carries himself. Very very mature. Way about him. Didn't get rattled. And he missed some shots he was definitely capable of making versus Villanova, but again, it didn't bring his energy levels down. Still really competed hard. Really loved how he bounced back from not so great offensive performance versus Villanova, and then versus Houston Baptist, to see how smooth he was out there. Got us off to a really good start.
So Michelle, Chris Cartman, Jordan.
Hey, Bobby. Obviously, the past couple of years, you guys were kind of picked in the middle of the pack. This year, you're picked kind of top, a close second. Is there any difference or a different feeling heading into this season, kind of as one of the hunted as opposed to one of the hunters?
I mean, I haven't really noticed or sensed, guys, feeling pressure. There is an urgency to win. I mean, we have, guys like Remy Martin that are vocally, talking about that, in our practices. And, when we're not, going well in a practice, he's reminding everybody. And so, I think from that standpoint, certainly, we want to win, and we want to, win as big as we can this year, certainly. So yeah, but outside of that, I wouldn't say that I've noticed or felt any residual pressure.
Hey, Bobby. So Jalen Graham's clearly a very instinctual shot blocker. And some challenges that guys have associated with that is foul trouble and or maybe getting out of position for rebounds that they would be able to make. So it seems like a delicate sort of a balancing act. Can you just speak to some of the challenges associated with that and the way that you're talking to him?
I just think, Chris, it comes down to instincts and judgment. And, when you're on that back line and someone's entering the paints, and you have to make really an instantaneous read. And, he's got to make sure that he's rotating with purpose, that he could, not only challenge the shot, but try to get a piece of it. Because if he doesn't, like you said, the likelihood that, your opponent's going to get a tip in because he's going to challenge a shot is always an issue. But we really need that from those two, from Jalen and from Chris Oston to really wall up, at the basket and give us that rim protection. That presence is going to be important for us.
Hey, Bobby, how are you feeling the front court rotation shaping up with Cherry, Graham, and Austin through 3 games?
Well, in a way, with Alonzo not being available on Sunday, it gave me the opportunity to experiment with starting a bigger lineup and see what that looks like. And having Tayshaun in there, I don't know, when we went out for the jump ball, we just we looked like a bigger college team. So that was I think that was nice to see, and certainly that'll upgrade our rebounding ability. I think Kamani coming back will be a boost to the core of the front court rotation and provide more depth, and again more rebounding. And that's we've been preaching that pretty strong to make sure the guys understand the importance of going to the glass and taking care of the defensive backboard is going to be key for us. We had a great example of that on Sunday where Chris Oston went up and got a very aggressive defensive rebound and immediately outletted it to Remy. And then Remy caught Josh streaking down, the right wing for a layup within like 2 seconds without the ball hitting the ground. It was pretty special. So that's what we're capable of doing if we could really get this front court rotation, focusing on rebounding the basketball.
Go Trevor Hode and then Gabe Schwartz.
Hey, Bobby, you touched on Kamani a little bit. He said after Sunday's game that he envisions himself being in like a Zylan Cheatham type role for you guys this year. Now that he's back and been in a few practices, where do you kind of see him fitting in the rotation and his role?
Yeah, I'd sign on for that right now. So I'm going to hold him to that. But we talk about it a lot. I mean, Z signed, he's on a multi-year deal now with OKC, and one of the primary reasons because he was an elite rebounder. And, you have a lot of guys who put the ball in the basket, and certainly there's going to be a place for a guy to play a lot of minutes if he could prove that he could, rebound the ball at a good clip. And I like what I'm seeing from Kamani in that regard. Hopefully he continues.
Bobby, 2 questions. First of all, the status of Alonzo Verge for tomorrow, and second of all, the play of Remy Martin. I know you said yesterday in an interview that it looks like he really knows when to distribute, when to shoot the ball. Was that really a point of emphasis in the preseason, or that's just coming naturally for a veteran, talented guy like Remy?
Well, with the first question in terms of Zoe, I can't really go into a lot of detail about Zoe's situation right now that he's in, but it is completely 110% nothing related to team discipline, violating team rules, or doing anything inappropriate at all. And also he's completely healthy. And, so I know that's hard for me to sit here and tell you guys that. And then you're like, all right, so what's the problem? But can't really, discuss it any further. With Remy, he, I think he understands that he's got some really talented guys around him, that part of his responsibility certainly is going to be putting points on the board. He did that versus Rhode Island. Second halves of games, close games, he's shown in his career that he could be a finisher, that he can make plays. But throughout the whole body of the game as a point guard, and he's got to make sure everyone's involved, that he's distributing the ball, that he's making plays for his teammates. So he's going to be doing a little bit of both.
Coach, with the Pac-12 schedule getting going in December, and that typically being a time of the year where you're kind of figuring out your rotation, how does that change how much you might shrink minutes and change things up tomorrow night?
Well, I mean, I'm just going to, see what happens, what unfolds, and that'll determine really how that, how the rotation will sort itself out. And, it's our first true road game, and that'll be a unique thing. Even though playing Rhode Island and Connecticut kind of felt like a road game to some degree, but interested to see what that looks like with no fans and the kind of vibe that we get from that game being on the road. But, I assume that my rotation won't change a ton based off, what we did on Sunday. And then it would get tweaked, based on who's going well and what the terms of the game present to me.
Mike Caratenuto.
Yeah, Coach, I was just talking about playing Providence, but I mean, I know you said teams always going to have to adjust on the fly, and obviously with the kind of year it's been in the preseason, but what was it like for the team not going to get to play Baylor? I mean, you're getting prepared for that, and I know they were pretty stoked, but I mean, just your overall thoughts of having to prep for another team right away.
It was different, certainly different, and I touched on this, that we had done a lot of prep, for Baylor, and it was just crazy overall. Like, we literally got on that plane possibly expecting to play UMass Lowell in Virginia, and obviously we had concerns with playing Baylor. And if the rest of that event had no concerns with Baylor, then I'm sure Rhode Island would have been in our slot, and Rhode Island would have played Baylor. but it was obvious that that whole event had problems with Baylor participating. So it was not only Arizona State. So it was, but it was different. And, I think, Rhode Island played hard, gave us a really good test right out of the gate. And then just happy we had an opportunity to see Villanova and to get a chance to play against a team, at that level, and I thought they played extremely well. They hit shots. And I think that'll help us in the long run as we keep advancing.
Jeffrey Horst, and then let me know if anybody else has others.
Hello, Coach. Having played your first home game without fans, the typical atmosphere that you usually get at a home game, how are you and your players feeling playing in that, more so quiet atmosphere? You don't typically have the typical home court advantage that you have with your fans usually.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, even the simplest things, like I usually have a security. My guy Rodney, I'm used to having him, and he kind of follows me out to the floor. And I kind of walked out of the coach's locker room to go out to the court, and I looked over like he would get up and start walking, and he wasn't there. So it's just like little subtle things that just again, a very sterile environment, but. In its core, I think our guys, love to play and compete. And I've said this before, I think we feel blessed. So, we just have to provide our own energy. And we got some exciting guys that could do some things out there and make plays to get us fired up on the floor. So I think hopefully we could utilize that to negate, not having, that crowd that normally would, get you going.
Anybody else have a question?
I do.
Michelle, go ahead.
Yeah. Coach, what challenges does Cal present? Obviously, Bradley's a great player, and Anticevic actually hit a lot of shots on you last year. So what's going to be the biggest factor in in this game?
Yeah, I think they have multiple, Thyman, Kelly, Thorpe. I mean, they got some big bodies, big physical guys in the post. Bradley is a guy that if he doesn't see help defense in the paint, he's going to get by you, and he's going to be a problem living in the lane. So we really got to shore up our help defense. We got to make sure we're focused on rebounding, and they're defending well. Their Nicholls State game that I watched, they held Nicholls to like 7 points with 3 or 4 minutes left in the first half. Really defended well. Team, very fundamentally sound defensive group, and certainly headlined by Bradley. So there will be, needs to be a team focus on guarding that guy and making things as difficult as possible for him. He's one of the best players in our conference.
So Paul Richardson, Chris Cartman.
Coach, it seems like everyone has just been really ready to go. How much fun, I know you're coaching, but how much fun is it just to see the guys have that energy and be back on the court playing ball again?
It was great. I mean, it was really enjoyable. I thought we had some really good moments on Sunday, just again, what our offense was doing, and, how easily we were scoring at different stretches. Our effort, our energy on defense, creating some turnovers. And overall, after watching the game again, I felt way better than I maybe did initially with my comments, immediately following the game, because I think the bad taste was in my mouth about what I watched like the last 6 or 7 minutes of the game. But we were fairly impressive, in that game. And I'm seeing guys that are moving the ball well, sharing the ball. And we had some breakdowns. They got by us off the bounce too many times, which I wasn't pleased about. And we've been focusing on that in practice. But overall, in this world that we're in now, you have to feel fortunate that we're able to move forward and have these opportunities, and our players get the chance to go out there and play.
Chris Cartman, Mike Caratenuto.
Bobby, you have so much offensive firepower with guys who can create their own offense on this team. So when you have that, does it sort of change the calibration of what is considered to be a good shot in time and situation?
I mean, I thought that looking back on the Villanova game, I thought the quality of the shots were good. I just thought that there were too many multiple times to where we had like a one pass possession and a pass ahead and then a quick shot with not great results. So, you know, that would be the one issue if you're gonna focus on shot selection is, you know, can we afford to not make the defense work, you know, multiple times and then come up empty? So I think that's going to be something that we're going to have to, you know, keep our eye on, engage a little bit. But overall, I feel like this group is really embracing playing unselfish and looking for each other. And I'm just not noticing, you know, an ounce of selfishness on offense right now. I think we got to be a little tougher defensively, and I think we got a lot of work to get better at that end of the floor. But you know, I like what I'm seeing overall right now from the offensive end.
Mike, Jordan, Tressa.
And coach, when you look at that too, I mean, obviously, like you're talking about no fans. I know in other sports it's been an issue with not an issue, but sometimes some calls and some things have been dictated towards a bench because there's no fans there. Obviously, especially in basketball, are you and your coaching staff cognizant of not that your players are saying anything bad to the refs, but just kind of maybe not making certain comments because the refs are right there and more readily available to hear it?
Well, I think Cherry's technical in Connecticut. Most likely, if there was crowds, he would not have received the technical because he was not even looking in the direction of the player on Rhode Island. I mean, I most likely would have gotten mine. I was furious with Graham's fifth foul, and I thought he jumped straight up. So I was most likely going to get it. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly you got to be mindful of that and keeping, you know, pay attention for that. And I mean, Sunday, I don't think I said one thing to the refs. They must have been in shock when they left. You know? So I'm trying to do my part as well.
Jordan, Tressa.
Hey, Coach. I know you're mostly focused on the game, but are you going to make another appearance on Marcus Bagley's road vlog if he does another one?
Good for Marcus. I mean, he's having fun with this year, and you know, the guy puts in the work, and you know, I think it's a cool thing that he's doing. He's involving his teammates. You know, me, I'm not going to be the most charismatic guy on his thing. I think there's a lot more interesting people that he could bring on to his story, his game day story. But I'm glad he's enjoying it. It's been a tough year, and it's been a tough year for these kids, and you know, their senior years being disrupted, and then, you know, not having a true normal college experience. Anytime someone's happy, I'm all for it.
Tressa, then Jeff.
Hey, Coach, just for contextual purposes, what is the amount of COVID testing that you guys are undergoing, and has it been upped at all now that you're traveling and kind of immersed in the season, so to speak?
Yeah, well, our guys get tested daily, and we're doing antigen testing and PCR testing. So I took 2 tests this morning. I had an antigen test. I saw Doug there. We both ran into each other at it at 8 a.m. And then I went over and did our saliva-based PCR test. So I'll have 2 tests in before we get on the plane today. And the PCR test, likely I'll get the results later tonight or tomorrow morning. This way we ensure that, you know, I guess the PCR is, and again, I'm not an epidemiologist or or a doctor of any kind to know for certain all the stuff, but the PCR is the gold standard test, and that one, you know, really gives you the best data and whatnot. So we'll know for certain, you know, tomorrow morning as a whole group and traveling party that we're all negative, hopefully, and. So yeah, but it's pretty, you know, strenuous. It's a sacrifice that our players are making every day to go do it. But you know, our number one goal objective is to do this safely as possible.
Go 2 more. Go Jeff, and then Paul Richardson.
Hey, Coach, how are you? Just want to ask real quick, what is the evolution of Bobby Hurley as a coach? And is it any different having two highly recruited freshmen in your system this year for you?
I don't know if it's been the year, and I don't know how much this is me, whatever, as a coach growing or changing or whatever, but I feel a little bit more composed this year. I feel like maybe there's so many things that have gone on this year negatively that you're just trying to absorb that as best as possible and then move on. I'm not allowing things that happen to really impact me greatly. Like I feel like I'm trying to be, maybe more positive and not as negative or angry or, and I just feel like there's been more of a calming presence, or that I've had that more than I've had in any other years. And that could be in a practice, that could be, as these games are happening, and just trying to take the good and the bad and work through it. And, so I that's my best answer I could give you at the moment.
Perfect.
Paul Richardson, last one.
Coach, considering you and Charlie are kind of in the same bubble dealing with the same stuff, do you two, just out of curiosity, do you two ever share notes about what's going on in the COVID world and the basketball world and the difficulties that both of you are facing going through this at the same time?
I would say definitely over the summer and into the fall, and just all the different new protocols, quarantine times, testing, and what decisions is the league going to make regarding when we're starting our season. We tried to share and talk quite a bit about what the women's coaches were talking about in their meetings, what our men's coaches were talking about. But as we transition to our year and our own season, I think we've been more focused, especially with us traveling. And if I see Charlie in passing, we'll talk. But it's been more about like our own teams now.